The millionaire installed cameras to protect his helpless daughter. But one silent afternoon, what he saw on the screen made his hands start shaking. Because the danger he feared wasn't coming from outside the house. Everyone in the city knew Victor Hale as a man who trusted no one. He built his fortune from nothing, guarded it with walls of glass and steel, and lived in a mansion that felt more like a fortress than a home. But behind all that success was a silence money could never fix. Upstairs, at the end of a long hallway, lived the reason Victor slept with one eye open. His daughter, Lily. After a tragic accident years ago, Lily could no longer move freely like other children. Doctors called it a condition. Victor called it a nightmare he could never wake up from. She was bright, curious, and full of life, but her small body depended on others every single day. Victor had already lost his wife. Losing Lily was not an option. That was why the cameras existed. Not to spy, not to control, but to protect. Hidden in corners, blended into walls, silently watching every room Lily spent time in. Victor told himself it was safety, peace of mind, a way to breathe, but deep down, it was fear, because fear never leaves a man who has already lost everything once. A new maid, a new unease. When Amara arrived, Victor barely looked up from his phone. She was quiet, calm, young, but with eyes that carried stories she never told. Her references were perfect, her manners gentle. Too gentle, Victor thought. Most people acted different around money. Amara didn't. She spoke softly to Lily, not like she was fragile, but like she was human. That bothered Victor more than it should have. Still, he hired her, and the cameras kept watching. What the cameras didn't expect. For weeks, nothing happened. Amara cleaned, cooked, and cared for Lily with a patience that felt rare. She sang while folding laundry. She talked to Lily about colors, dreams, and silly little things. Lily smiled more, Victor noticed, but happiness made him nervous. So one afternoon, while sitting alone in his office, Victor opened the security feed. Just to check, that's when he saw it. The kitchen camera. Lily was on the floor, surrounded by shiny bowls, wooden spoons in her tiny hands, laughing, pure, unstoppable laughter, as she tapped rhythms only children understand. Amara sat beside her, leaning on one elbow, watching like the moment was the most important thing in the world. Victor froze, because Lily wasn't supposed to be on the floor, not without special equipment, not without support. His heart slammed, he switched cameras, zoomed in, his breath tightened. Then, something unexpected, Amara gently adjusted Lily's position. Slowly, carefully, like someone trained, not just taught. Lily didn't struggle, she thrived. Victor's fear didn't fade, it grew. The past comes knocking. That night, Victor couldn't sleep. He remembered warnings from doctors, from consultants, from people who smiled too much while asking about his home. Be careful who you let near her. So the next day, Victor did what he had always done when afraid. He watched. Hours passed, nothing unusual, until the nursery camera flickered. Amara closed the door. Victor leaned forward. Inside the room, Amara knelt beside Lily and pulled out a small notebook. Victor's chest tightened. She showed Lily drawings, exercises, simple movements. Then Amara whispered something. Victor turned up the sound. I won't let them break your joy, Amara said softly. Not like they did mine. Victor's blood ran cold. Mine? Who was she? Truth hidden in silence. Victor dug into Amara's past that same night. What he found shook him. Amara had once been a caretaker to a child just like Lily. A child whose family trusted the wrong people. A child who didn't survive neglect disguised as care. Amara had recorded it. No one listened. She lost her job, her home, her future, but not her purpose. Victor sat in the dark long after the screen went black. The cameras had been watching Amara, but Amara had been guarding Lily. The day everything changed. One afternoon, Victor received an urgent call. Lily had been rushed to the hospital for observation. Nothing serious, but enough to awaken every fear Victor had buried. When he returned home later that evening, the mansion felt different. Too quiet. He opened the camera feed again. The kitchen was empty. Then he noticed something new. A note on the counter. Victor ran downstairs. It read, I saw what you see every day. Fear. But Lily needs more than protection. She needs belief. If you trust me, meet me in the playroom. Victor's hands trembled. For the first time, he turned the cameras off. A choice greater than fear. In the playroom, Amara sat beside Lily, helping her stack colorful blocks. Lily looked up and smiled. Daddy, she said softly. Victor's eyes burned. Amara stood. "I know you watch," she said. "I don't blame you. I would too." Victor swallowed hard. "I thought I was protecting her." "You were," Amara replied. "But protection without trust becomes a cage." Silence filled the room. Then Victor did something he hadn't done in years. He trusted. A new beginning. From that day on, the cameras stayed, but their purpose changed. Not control, understanding. Victor worked with specialists, with Amara, with Lily. The mansion slowly transformed from a fortress into a home. And Lily, she laughed more, dreamed bigger, lived louder, because sometimes, the real danger isn't what we fear others might do. It's what fear itself keeps us from seeing. Victor Hale thought turning off the cameras would bring him peace. Instead, it brought fear he could no longer hide behind screens. That night, after the quiet conversation in the playroom, Victor stood alone in his study, staring at the dark monitors. For the first time in years, the blinking red lights were gone. No silent witnesses, no digital reassurance, just trust, and trust felt heavier than any security system he had ever installed. The first test of trust. The next morning, Victor woke to an unfamiliar sound. Laughter. Real laughter. It drifted up the stairs like music he had forgotten existed in this house. He followed it to the kitchen, where he saw Lily sitting comfortably at the table, her hands resting on soft supports Amara had carefully prepared. Amara was nearby, not hovering, not controlling, just present. Victor froze. This scene would have terrified him weeks ago. Now, it confused him. "You didn't check the cameras," Amara said gently, without turning around. Victor swallowed. "No." She nodded. "Good." Lily looked up. "Daddy, I helped make breakfast." Victor smiled, but his heart trembled, because joy always felt fragile when you'd lived too long with fear. Whispers from the outside, trust inside the house didn't mean danger outside had vanished. Victor's business rivals had grown bold. Rumors circulated, questions about his personal life, his daughter, his staff. One afternoon, his assistant warned him quietly, "Someone's been asking about the new maid." Victor's chest tightened. That night, he almost turned the cameras back on. Almost. Instead, he talked to Amara. Amara's past, fully revealed. They sat in the living room after Lily had fallen asleep. "I need to know everything," Victor said. "Not because I doubt you. Because I need to protect her." Amara nodded. She told him about the family she once worked for. About how warnings were ignored. About how kindness was mistaken for weakness. About the day everything went wrong. And how she promised herself never again. "I didn't come here for money," she said softly. "I came because Lily reminded me of someone who deserved better." Victor listened in silence. For the first time, he understood something painful. He wasn't the only one guarding scars. The moment that almost broke everything. The real test came unexpectedly. One afternoon, Victor returned home early. The house was too quiet. His heart raced as old habits surged back. He rushed toward Lily's room. And stopped. The door was open. Inside, Lily was standing. Not fully, not perfectly, but supported, focused, determined. Amara stood behind her, hands steady, voice calm. Slowly, she whispered, "You're doing amazing." Victor's breath caught. This was progress doctors said would take years, or never come at all. His legs weakened. A sound escaped him. Amara turned, startled. For one terrifying second, Victor thought he'd ruined everything. But Lily smiled. "Daddy, look." Tears fell freely down Victor's face. Not everyone celebrated progress. Days later, a letter arrived. No sender, just a warning. "Be careful who you trust around your daughter." Victor's old fear came roaring back. That night, he stood before the control panel. His finger hovered, one click, and the cameras would return. Power, control, safety, or the illusion of it. Then Lily's laughter echoed faintly from upstairs. Victor stepped away, a different kind of protection. Instead of cameras, Victor chose something harder. Presence. He rearranged his schedule. He learned. He watched, not through screens, but with his heart. He saw how Amara encouraged independence instead of fear. How Lily responded not to control, but belief. Slowly, the mansion changed again. More light, more voices, less silence. The confrontation, the danger finally showed itself one evening when a stranger appeared at the gate, claiming to be from a care agency. Victor didn't open the door. Amara stood beside him. "We don't need anyone else," Victor said firmly. The stranger left, and for the first time, Victor realized something powerful. The cameras hadn't protected Lily that night. People did. Healing isn't loud. Healing didn't come in dramatic moments after that. It came quietly, in small steps, in laughter over spilled juice, in bedtime stories read slowly, in trust built day by day. Victor still kept the cameras, but they stayed off, not because danger disappeared, but because fear no longer ruled the house. Weeks passed in quiet progress. Lily grew stronger, emotionally and physically. Her laughter became a daily sound in the house. Her confidence bloomed in ways no doctor's chart could explain. Then the past knocked again. Victor received a legal notice questioning his caregiving arrangements. Someone had filed a complaint. Anonymous. Victor didn't need proof to know where it came from. Fear returned, but this time, it didn't take over. Instead of hiding behind lawyers and walls, Victor did something unexpected. He invited them in, the day the truth stood tall. Specialists arrived, observers, professionals trained to see everything. Victor didn't turn the cameras back on. He didn't need to. Amara welcomed them calmly. She explained every routine, every adjustment, every gentle method she used with Lily. Lily spoke too, not in long sentences, but in certainty. "I feel safe," she said. That single sentence changed everything. The inspection ended quietly. The complaint was dismissed. The shadow that once ruled the house lost its power. A father's public choice. Days later, Victor did something no one expected. At a charity event filled with polished smiles and quiet judgments, Victor stood on stage. He told Lily's story, not as a tragedy, but as truth. He spoke about fear, about mistakes, about how protection can become a prison when love is guided by control. And then he spoke about Amara, about trust, about second chances. The room was silent, not because they were shocked, but because they were listening. A gift that changed everything. That night, Victor handed Amara an envelope. Inside was more than money. It was a contract, a future, a promise. "I don't want you as an employee," Victor said. "I want you as family, if you choose." Amara's eyes filled with tears. "I already chose," she whispered. Lily's quiet victory. The greatest moment didn't come on a stage. It came one quiet morning. Lily stood, supported, steady, for longer than ever before. Victor knelt in front of her, unable to speak. Amara smiled softly. Lily reached out and touched her father's face. "No cameras, Daddy," she said gently. "Just us." Victor nodded, tears falling freely. The house without fear. The mansion no longer felt like a fortress. The cameras remained, unused, forgotten. Not because danger vanished, but because trust moved in. Victor learned that strength isn't watching everything. It's standing present when it matters most. Some stories begin with fear, but the strongest ones end with faith. Not faith in systems or screens, but in people who choose kindness when no one is watching. If this story moved your heart, please subscribe to Black Inside 2.0 for more emotional stories that remind us love, trust, and courage can change everything.